Have you ever heard of a striker who came from the 5th Division, wore an electronic tag, worked in a factory, and then became the Premier League's top scorer and an English champion? Yes, my friend. This is the story of the greatest underdog in modern football history, Jamie Vardy. And if you think that's an exaggeration, hold on to this video because I'm going to prove to you that nothing is impossible in football. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to know the grassroots legend who silenced the world with goals and attitude. Jamie Richard Vardy was born on January 11, 1987, in Sheffield, England. He had a modest upbringing in a working-class family. Unlike most elite players, he wasn't groomed in top-flight academies. In fact, his football journey began far from the limelight. As a teenager, Vardy was released by his local club, Sheffield Wednesday, at the age of 16 for being too small and skinny, a decision that nearly made him give up on his dream of becoming a professional player. With the dream of professional football nearly buried, he had to work wherever he could. He ended up in a medical prosthetics factory. That's right, the guy was assembling artificial legs during the day and playing football at night. But Vardy is one of those stubborn guys. He played in amateur teams for £50 a week and began to draw attention at Stocksbridge Park Steels, down in the 8th Division. That's a long way down. He was a fast, aggressive striker with a hunger for goals, but without infrastructure, no agent, no media spotlight. Check this out. Now the story gets so crazy you're going to think, this has got to be fan fiction, right? It can't be true. But it is, man. And I guarantee you, it only gets better. We're in 2007. Jamie Vardy is playing for Stocksbridge Park Steels, down in the 8th Division of English football. Yes, you heard that right. 8th. Poor fields, a salary of £50 a week, about $300, reused uniforms and deflated balls at training. That was the deal. But even so, the guy was starting to get noticed. Fast, explosive, a nightmare for defenders. Vardy was like that guy in pickup games who doesn't just run after the ball, he runs for his life. The electronic ankle monitor episode. But here comes the unexpected. Vardy got involved in a bar fight. It all started when he went out for drinks with friends, and one of them, who was hearing impaired, started getting picked on by a group. Vardy stepped up to defend his friend. Things got ugly. It turned into a brawl. The result? A conviction and an electronic ankle monitor. Yes, man. He played with court-imposed limited hours. He could only leave the house at certain times and had to be back before 6 p.m. If not, he'd violate his parole. And how did this impact his football? He entered the field with the referee's whistle and a stopwatch in his head. The coach would warn the bench, Vardy has to be out by the 30th minute of the second half, or he's spending the night in jail. Imagine that in the Premier League today. Guardiola checking Haaland's ankle monitor time. Even so, the man played incredibly. And that's the craziest part. Even with all these hurdles, Vardy kept scoring goals. He ran more than anyone else, pressed, bit, was a nuisance all game long. And even playing fewer minutes, he was the team highlight. Scouts started to show up. Clubs from higher divisions began to take notice, and he just kept improving. He was the typical player that nobody would politely recommend, but everyone wanted on their team. The kind that drives defenders crazy and still leaves the field cursing. Too real. Summary of this phase: working in a prosthetic factory during the day, playing in amateur fields at night, wearing an ankle monitor, earning less than minimum wage, sitting on the bench because he had to leave before the game ended. But the craziest part is that even there, in the underworld of English football, he was already different. Winner's mentality, warrior's heart, and lightning-fast legs. The Jamie Vardy with the ankle monitor was already the same Jamie Vardy who would lift the trophy years later. He just needed someone to believe in him. And that's what happened. Pretty soon, a daring second division club decides to bet £1 million on this madman with a criminal record and quick legs. Know who it was? Leicester City. And that decision would change English football forever. After running around on poor fields wearing an ankle monitor and being discredited by everyone, someone finally saw what no one else could: a caged lion hungry for the Premier League. And that someone was Leicester City, who in 2012 was still in the Championship, the second tier of English football. And what did they do? They paid £1 million for Jamie Vardy. That's right. It was the highest amount ever paid for a player from non-league football. At the time, everyone thought Leicester was crazy. Paying $1 million for a guy from the 5th division? This guy doesn't even have a resume. This is going to go badly. Unfortunately, at first it seemed like everyone was right. Vardy arrived but couldn't perform. He was nervous, missed shots, was isolated on the field. The fans started to grumble. And the worst part, he thought about giving up. I'm not good enough for this. Vardy was in crisis. He thought about throwing it all away, going back to the factory and quitting football, the support that saved everything. But then, the man who saw the potential before anyone else stepped in, Nigel Pearson, the coach of Leicester at the time, Pearson came forward and said, "You have a different story, and different players do great things. I believe in you." And that was all Vardy needed, a chance, a vote of confidence. In the 2013-14 season, Vardy came back with fire in his eyes, more mature, stronger, more focused. And then, he became a goal machine. He was one of the key players on the team, contributed 16 goals and 10 assists, and helped Leicester become champions of the championship with 102 points. After 10 years, Leicester City was back in the Premier League, and with them the former factory worker, the former prisoner with an ankle monitor, now ready to face the biggest defenders in England. Man, from Stocksbridge to Stamford Bridge, from muddy fields to the theatre of dreams, Jamie Vardy overcame doubt, fear, and the system. And the best? The peak was still to come. Because in the following season, Vardy and Leicester were about to stop the world. Leicester had just narrowly escaped relegation with a miracle in the final stretch of the previous season. And then the board made a decision that left everyone scratching their heads. Leicester announces Claudio Ranieri as coach, the man who was fired by the Greek national team after losing to the Faroe Islands. Ranieri, the nicest coach in history, arrived discredited, all smiles and delicious. Everyone thought he would be gone in 10 matches, but man, the opposite happened. Leicester didn't have possession, but they had speed. They didn't have big names, but they had hunger. And in attack, they had him, Jamie Vardy. Ranieri assembled the perfect team for chaos. Conte stealing everything in the middle, Mahrez creating magic on the wing, and Vardy firing bullets up front. And then began the streak that stopped the world. Jamie Vardy made history when he scored in 11 consecutive games, breaking the record of the legendary Van Nistelrooy. And guess against whom he broke the record? Against Manchester United itself. There were goals of every kind. Lob shots on the break, stealing the ball from defenders, even first-time shots from outside the box. The man was possessed. And it wasn't just him. The entire Leicester team became unstoppable. Victory over City, 3-1. Victory over Liverpool, 2-0. Victory over Tottenham, 1-0. While the Giants stumbled, Leicester kept soaring low under the radar. And in the final stretch, nobody could hold them back. And then, the unthinkable happened. Leicester City were champions of the Premier League, with a 10-point lead, with a team that cost less than Chelsea's bench, and with Jamie Vardy as the symbol of a generation. It was official, the greatest miracle in the history of English football. Had a first name, a last name, and the right foot of Jamie Vardy. Man, Vardy is living proof that no one needs to start at the top to succeed. He faced hunger, was rejected, almost gave up. But he believed. And when he got the chance, he seized it with both feet. From an ankle monitor to the Premier League trophy, from a prosthetic factory to stadiums filled with fans chanting his name, this guy is more than just a player. He's an inspiration. Jamie Vardy isn't just a top scorer. He's the English dream that came true. So, did you like this insane story of Vardy? Comment below what inspired you most on this journey. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell because here we tell the real, raw, and inspiring side of football. Thanks and see you next time.